Ilia Topuria, me.
He's a once-in-a-generation talent. He knocked out in 3 fights 3 all-time greats. Volkanovski, then he knocks out Max Holloway, and then he knocks out Charles Oliveira. Like, who knocks out Charles Oliveira in the first round like that? He can take it, too. When he was competing at featherweight, he took a fight at lightweight against Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert, in the first round, caught him with a perfect head kick, dropped him, and then the second round, Ilia just put him into the shadow realm.
Is he good at grappling as well?
He's phenomenal at grappling.
Really?
That's his main base.
I didn't even know that. Because you don't see that much nowadays. You just knocks everyone out.
He's been spooky good.
The UFC has now revealed the full lineup for the White House card, and one fight immediately became the center of attention. Dana White confirmed that Ilia Topuria will put his lightweight title on the line against interim champion Justin Gaethje in a huge unification fight. The moment that announcement went public, the attention shifted fast. Fans, analysts, and fighters all started talking about the same thing, because this matchup feels like the kind of fight that can take over the entire event. Topuria wasted no time showing where his mind was at. Almost right after the news broke, he started sharing early clips from camp, making it clear that he was already back to work and fully locked in. That added even more energy to the story. Because it gave people the feeling that this was not just a fight that got announced on paper. It already felt alive. It already felt real. Once the matchup became official, the talk around the event moved in one direction. Now, the biggest question is obvious. What happens when one of the most accurate and dangerous finishers in the sport meets one of the most violent and fearless brawlers in MMA? And they do it on a stage this massive. That is the reason this fight has grabbed so much attention so quickly. It is not just the name, and it is not just the title. It is the clash of styles, the pressure of the setting, and the feeling that something unforgettable could happen the second they engage.
This guy, Ilia Topuria. And Ilia Topuria is one of the absolute best fighters in the world. He's the current UFC featherweight champion. The dude is just phenomenal. But when you, one of the things that's phenomenal about him is his technique. His technique is perfect.
The first training footage from Topuria's camp gave people a pretty strong read on where he is mentally and physically, even though he did not need to say a word. In those clips, he looks sharp, calm, and very deliberate. The striking patterns are clean, the footwork drills are tight, and the sparring appears controlled with a clear focus on timing and reactions instead of reckless gym battle. Nothing about it looks random. What stands out most is the discipline in the work. This does not look like a fighter trying to impress people by showing how tough he is in practice. It looks like a champion polishing the details that matter before the intensity of camp rises to another level. His movement looks purposeful, the reads seem fast, and the entire setup gives the impression of a fighter who knows exactly what kind of challenge is waiting for. That matters in a fight like this, because Gaethje is the type of opponent who can pull people into chaos if they are not careful. A camp built around timing, spacing, and control says a lot about how seriously Topuria is taking the danger in front of him. These early clips may be short, but they still tell a story. He is not rushing. He is not forcing anything. He is preparing with precision, and that alone has made many people believe he is approaching this fight with the mindset of someone who plans to stay one step ahead. Dana White has made his feelings on this matchup very clear. From his point of view, Topuria versus Gaethje is not just another big title fight that happened to land on a major event. He sees it as the right main event for a night with this much history attached to it. That is a strong statement. But it also explains why the UFC is leaning so hard into this fight. He has spoken very highly of Topuria, calling him one of the most impressive champions currently on the roster. That praise is not casual. It shows how strongly the promotion views Topuria at this stage of his career. Dana also pointed to Gaethje's most recent performance as the one that earned him this shot, which tells you the UFC sees both men as bringing real momentum into the fight. From Dana's perspective, this is the exact kind of matchup you build a White House card around. You have one champion who has looked polished, dangerous, and difficult to solve, and across from him stands a fighter known for violence, pressure, and the ability to change a fight in one exchange. Put those ingredients together, add the setting, add the stake, and the result is the kind of headline fight that feels worthy of a historic event.
The main event, Ilia Topuria, one of the most sensational champions we've ever seen inside the octagon, facing Justin Gaethje, which I think is the absolute perfect matchup for him. Justin deserves it after the Paddy Pimblett fight. Ilia Topuria has been just a complete and total phenom, and I can't wait to see what happens at the
Demetrius Johnson is firmly on the side of people who believe this is an excellent main event. His support for the fight is not based only on the location or the size of the event. He likes the matchup itself, and that says a lot coming from someone with his level of experience and understanding of the sport. To him, this is a real fight with real layers, and that is why it worked. Right now, Johnson sees Topuria as the rightful favorite. The reasons are easy to understand. He brings a complete skill set, he fights with a high level of intelligence, he has shown durability, and he carries serious power that can change everything with one clean shot. Every exchange with Topuria comes with danger, and that is part of what makes him so difficult to deal with. He does not need many openings to make someone pay. At the same time, Demetrius is very interested in the version of Justin Gaethje that shows up strategically. He mentioned that Gaethje has changed his style in past fights depending on the opponent in front of him. Sometimes he has pulled back from pure brawling and chosen a more selective, measured approach on the feet. That detail is important here, because this is not a fight where reckless pressure automatically gives you the best chance to win. Johnson is watching to see how much discipline Gaethje can bring into the cage once Topuria starts pressing forward. That tension between Topuria's pressure and Gaethje's decision-making could become one of the most important parts of the entire fight.
Talk about the fights, okay? The main event is Justin Gaethje taking on Ilia Topuria. I like that fight. I think it's a great fight. I think the biggest thing, like off the top of my head, I think Ilia Topuria knocks him out. But I do see a world where Justin Gaethje can knock him out as well. But Ilia Topuria is so damn good, and his IQ is really high, and he can take a shot, and he damn well can give a shot. But the other flip side of this, what makes me excited, is to see how Justin Gaethje approaches it after spending time with him playing football. Because when he was talking about Paddy Pimblett, he was like, well, Paddy can't kick, so I was okay going into his power. How will he approach this fight against Ilia Topuria, where someone who can kick and has a lot of power? And then in a co-main,
Ariel Helwani has pushed back hard against the idea that this White House card should be seen as disappointing just because it does not feature a wild number of title fights. In his view, that criticism got out of hand because fans built up an unrealistic version of the event in their own mind. Once people started talking about 7 or 8 titles being on the line, the expectations stopped being reasonable. That is the point he keeps coming back to. The event should be judged for what it actually is, not for a fantasy version that was never likely to happen. A card does not need a stack of belts from top to bottom to feel major. What it needs is a fight at the top that feels big, meaningful, and dangerous enough to carry the night. And Helwani's argument is that people let rumor and imagination raise the bar to a place no real card was ever going to reach. Because of that, he does not buy the idea that this lineup somehow failed. He sees the reaction from some fans as a case of expectations getting inflated far beyond reality. Once that happens, even a strong main event can get judged unfairly. His position is simple. The card was never going to match every fantasy people built online, and that does not mean the final product is weak.
2 title fights. It was not the 7 to 8 title fights as was initially promised. It's a marquee main event. I know that there are some people who are upset. I know that there are some people who are trying to say like, hey, this is a letdown. This is an incredible 6-fight card, and it was never going to be 7 to 8 title fights. That was never going to happen. That would screw up the rest of their schedule. Ilia Topuria coming back against Justin Gaethje is a massive, massive fight. It is a marquee fight. It is one of the biggest fights of the year. Topuria coming back after everything he's been through, almost exactly a year between fights is a very big deal. Pereira being on there.
Helwani also pointed out how quickly Topuria versus Gaethje came together, and that part of the story adds another layer to the entire event. From what he has heard, the UFC went after other giant fights first, but those talks ran into problems and negotiations did not get across the line. That left the promotion in a difficult position, because a card of this size cannot afford to feel unfinished at the top. Once those earlier plans stalled, the UFC had to move fast. That changed the timeline, and it raised the urgency. In that moment, putting together a unification fight between Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje was not just a solid option. It became the move that gave the event a real center again. Instead of the card feeling like it was missing its biggest piece, this fight gave it a headline people could immediately care about. That is why Helwani framed it as more than just a late solution. In his eyes, this matchup did not simply fill space. It saved the event from feeling incomplete. A White House card without a true centerpiece would have invited non-stop criticism, and the UFC clearly needed something with weight, danger, and star power. Topuria versus Gaethje checked those boxes fast.
Fight could get done. There was massive skepticism. And I also know that Topuria versus Gaethje happened rather quickly as well. And so my feeling is, and I just want to say, the UFC put the fear of God in every MMA manager out there. Like I'm not really in the fight breaking news business anymore. But I did poke around in the dying days. Once Dana White said that they had to, I wanted to see what was up. I even told guys, like, I don't even care. Like, I'm not trying to break this. I'm just curious. That's the God's honest truth. They put the fear of God in these managers, and they've been doing this for a long time, but never quite like...
MMA Guru has also rejected the conspiracy talk surrounding this fight. Some fans started pushing the idea that the UFC would never allow Justin Gaethje to lose if he were the American headliner in a White House main event, but he does not believe that logic holds up. He sees that kind of claim as fan-driven noise, not something grounded in what actually happens once the cage door closes. His view is much more direct. If this fight plays out according to current form, then Ilia Topuria should be the favorite, and he should be favored for real reason. He is younger, he is right in the middle of his athletic prime, and he has true one-shot knockout power. That is not hype. That is the kind of threat Gaethje has to respect every second of the fight. One mistake can flip everything. Even so, Guru understands why Gaethje would welcome this matchup. Justin's style creates action almost automatically. He pushes forward, he exchanges, and he is comfortable in violent moments that many fighters would try to avoid. That means the fight is likely to be tense from the opening minute, because both men have the kind of power that can end things quickly. Guru's point is that the danger runs both ways, but if you look at age, timing, momentum, and finishing ability, it makes sense that many people are leaning toward Topuria.
Never going to have a US fighter lose in the main event. Yeah, they are. Justin Gaethje's going to lose to Ilia Topuria in the main event in the White House. If he pulls it off, it'll be cinema, okay? And I'll assume that the rig is in, and Topuria has been paid $10 million to make the US look good on the world stage. Because Gaethje... he's the all-American. He's red, white, he bleeds red, white, and blue, brother. You know what I mean? He's going to be there. He's the only American that's even in conversations to ever be in a title fight. Unless they did Yan O'Malley too. Which people would still complain about, by the way. But it's the only other way they could have a US fighter in a title fight. Jones was never coming back. But Topuria Gaethje's a sick fight. Amazing fight. Love it. I think it's great as the main event of this White House card. But we could have done with a stronger undercard. And that's where...
Justin Gaethje has said that the moment this fight became official, camp basically picked right back up. He had no interest in taking a long break or easing his way back into training. He wanted to move straight from one preparation into the next. Keep the rhythm going and stay in that competitive mindset without wasting time. That approach says a lot about how seriously he is treating this opportunity. For Gaethje, this fight means more than a belt. He has spoken about his roots in a small Arizona town, the copper mining background in his family, and the pride he feels about representing where he comes from. Fighting on the White House lawn adds a completely different kind of emotion to the moment. In his mind, this is not just another big event on the UFC schedule. It feels like a once-in-a-lifetime stage. That is why he talks about it with so much weight behind his words. This is not only about becoming champion, it is also about carrying his story, his hometown, and his family history into a setting unlike anything the sport has seen before. For him, the title matters. But the meaning of the moment stretches far beyond that. He has a chance to represent his country, his background, and his journey on a stage no fighter has ever competed on before. And that gives this matchup even more emotion going into fight night. Let us know in the comments who you are backing, Ilia Topuria or Justin Gaethje, and how you think this fight ends on the White House lawn.